From John's Gospel, hear these words. I give you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, so also you must love each other. This is how everyone will know that you are my disciples, when you love each other. May God's blessing be added to the reading and the understanding of the word. I did my 6th of 7 weddings for this calendar year yesterday. Now you remember yesterday was a little cold and snowy. What complicated this more is that this was up near Allen's Park towards Estes Park. So yeah, it was really cold and snowy up there. And just getting up there was a bit of a trick. We got stopped by one accident on the road and had to kind of work our way around that. And then where the railroad crosses Highway 72 higher up, they had stopped the Amtrak train because someone on the train had fallen and been hurt and had to get hauled off. And so we barely made it to but everybody else was late to the wedding. The groom was in Estes Park and he couldn't get up from there. It was a bit of a struggle, but we got through it. The sun came out, and although they'd wanted to do the wedding outside, they couldn't. Beautiful room with a view of a snow-covered Long's Peak. It was a gorgeous service. The words I just read from John's Gospel are words I read in almost every wedding service I do. This commandment that the Christ has given, that you should love one another as he loved us. Weddings are fun, you know? Sometimes they're a little frustrating. You get mothers of the bride who are a little overbearing, and you have to rein them in. Whoa. You know, or you get people who are just going crazy and running around. You have to kind of, all right, everybody take a deep breath. Yesterday, there were a lot of things that weren't going to work, and so we had to take a deep breath, and we'll get through. And it was a beautiful service. The groom cried. He really loved his bride, and he was so emotional as he said his vows. It was powerful. And the bride is a vet, and she has taken in all these abused and shy animals, and she has this beautiful little German short shepherd who's just a very scaredy cat dog when she first got him. And yesterday he was the ring bearer. And they actually had the rings tied to a thing around garland of flowers, and Daisy laid there and let me get the rings off. She was so well behaved. It was a beautiful wedding. It was beautiful. Sometimes weddings are fun and beautiful. Most of the times they're powerful. I did one in August down in Wiley where it was 100 degrees out, and we were doing it outside in the flies, and it was still a beautiful wedding because I'd known this young woman since she was a kid. I love doing weddings. Weddings bring people together, family and friends. Sometimes we haven't seen each other for a long time. It's great. Some weddings are small. The one yesterday was small, or 50 or 60 guests total. Some weddings are huge, hundreds and hundreds of guests. I don't know, when Sue and I got married, there were like 250 people because we have extended family and friends, and it was crazy, but it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Fewer weddings are done in church. I said I've got 7 weddings scheduled for this year. One of them was just like spur of the moment, and that was cool. And that's the only one I've done in the church this year. A lot of them are outside. People want to be married outside the church and the beauty of nature, and that's good. But still, we got to do things in community, right? And church is part of our community. When I was in the little churches on the prairie, you know, when you're with a town of 500 people and you do a wedding, almost everybody comes to the wedding because it's not just church, it's community. And we all show up and we're a part of that. And that's beautiful. We live, though, in a much more mobile world, in a world where people move a lot. One of my nieces, she's 28 now, she went off to school, did really well. She moved to California, and then she moved to the East Coast, then she moved to Chicago, then she moved somewhere else. We live in a mobile world, and lots of people do that. They chase their dreams, they chase their jobs, they go wherever. The thing is, church for people can be instant community. You see this all the time. People move into a neighborhood, and if they're used to a church, then they go and they look for a church, and they join, and bang, you've got instant community. You've got people to connect to. It's a wonderful thing to have that instant community, or at least it should be. It should be an opportunity for people to come in new and meet people from different generations and ages and styles and systems and connect and have that support network that we used to have when we all grew up and lived our whole lives in the same town. Not many of us do that anymore. Think about it, the need for community. You can't survive well alone. And the pine trees in the forest, you think, they grow too close together. But they support each other. They have a thin root system and on rocky soil, but they support each other. One alone gets blown over. But up in the mountains, they can withstand the wind because each of them are supporting one another. Or the emperor penguins. You saw that great March of the Penguins documentary a few years ago? And they're out there in the middle of the Antarctic, freezing cold, dark and miserable. You're going, what is wrong with you people, penguins? But they all stand huddled together to keep each other warm, and they take turns rotating who's on the outside, and they keep the eggs ready to go until the other half comes back, and they swap it. It's amazing. That's community. That's what we do, isn't it? Except we don't waddle so much. There's a necessity of human contact. This study years ago, infants who were not, neonatal, preemie infants who didn't get human contact, didn't thrive nearly like children who were held all the time. And so now they regularly hold infants, premature infants, just to give them that physical touch, that human contact. It's absolutely essential for us. We're born with a need for compassion, a need for connection, a need for love, this love that God Jesus talks about. And so we come together in community to celebrate weddings and births and baptisms and funerals because they're a part of life. And sometimes we laugh and sometimes we weep. You know, we have this thing in the bulletin every week. We have prayer concerns. And then we have joys sometimes. We need more joys because a lot of times there's nothing to put in there. And that worries me. I know you people have joys. Write them down. Put them on a little pad. We'll put them in. We need some joys around here. Right? Say yes. Thank you. We support one another in our joys and in our times of loss. We support one another in our struggles. Community works together, stands together, and that's important. And everyone can help. Everyone can have a role. Everyone has a place at the table. The and the old. It's the value of having a congregation like this that has so many different generations. We all have a place. We all have values. We all have things to share. The wisdom of the older generation and the wisdom of the younger generation who gave some good answers this morning, didn't they? We have things to share. And we can do different things, be teachers. There's intentional teachers, you know. There's all the people who teach in Sunday school and do a wonderful job at that. And then there's unintentional teachers, the ones who by their very example teach us what it means to be Christian in the world. And you've had probably a lot of those people in your life. There's people who do the administrative work of the church. And sometimes that's boring and sometimes it's exciting, especially when we're trying to figure out the budget. That gets exciting. We need children's ministry because we have kids here and we love them. We need people to work with that. I got a video that's going to show just how important children's ministry can be and why you should be involved. Choir's going to have to turn around. The TVs aren't working.
Today, we get a chance to look at some of the young talent in this league. It doesn't get any better than this.
This team has a great farm system. They're developing some quality rookies.
And the scouts are really excited about this new crop of youngsters.
A lot of people are saying this little guy reminds them of a young Charles Spurgeon. He's athletic, spiritual, and has a great wingspan. Let's listen in.
Please give my grandma some tools and some special things and ice cream.
Oh yeah, this kid has tremendous upside potential.
Thank you for the club and swimming, club swimming.
He's going to be a star. Oh yeah.
Have you ever participated in point shaving? Have you ever wiped boogers on church property? So you're not denying it. This could be the worst scandal in the history of this franchise. Taff?
Looks like someone forgot to get little Jimmy a copy of the playbook.
A good group of assistants calling the signals.
That was pretty cool.
Well, he started out strong, but he kind of hit a cold streak.
He hit our cameraman. Are you okay down there? Watch this, folks, right into your living room.
Pastor Wayne, great job tonight.
Well, thank you. You know, I couldn't have done it without the man upstairs.
God.
Mike, our sound guy. But God, too.
See, you can do that. All those little people falling over. Okay, maybe you aren't called to children's ministry, but there is something you can do. We need prayers. We need quilters. We need people who go on mission trips. We need people who work with Interfaith Hospitality Network. We need people who are simply here doing things every day. We have so many people who do it, and we need so many more. Community is about involvement, is about standing together. Hear the words again. I give you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, so you also must love each other. This is how everyone will know that you are my disciples, when you love each other. We love each other through our actions, through the community, through serving, through supporting, through doing all the different ways we can. This is stewardship time, and we're talking about more than money. If we're to thrive, we got to support each other. Now, this week in the mail, you were given a card, and some of you may have gotten it, some of you may not have. There's more of them in the back if you want to fill them out. We're going to put them up around just like we did the ones last week. This card talked about people who influenced your spiritual life. Anybody want to share a name or two? Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Do you know how often those two are around here helping out? Sure. Any others? Gordon. Yeah, Claire Hart. Who? Max. You know how often he's here? He's here more than I am. Well, you got a chance to turn those cards in. There's baskets back there, or you can put them in with the offering plate. When the offering plate goes around, we'll put them up. If you didn't get one, fill one out. There are people who touched your lives. Now, you pass that on by touching someone else's life. You were served, so you served. You have been loved, so you love. Together, we're greater than the sum of the parts. That's what a church community is, greater than the sum of the parts, coming together to make something powerful and wonderful, a community of life and meaning here for people who don't see meaning in their lives. A community of hope and love for people who have no hope and don't know what it is to be loved or to love. That, I think, is pretty important. Will you pray with me? Gracious God, we come into this community sometimes thinking we're isolated and alone, but we are not. We come into this community sometimes thinking we have to do nothing, but we must. We cannot just receive. We must also give. And so, Lord, lay on our hearts how it is we can serve and be your church and your people in the world. In Jesus' name, amen.